Let's talk about gold, the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and security. For centuries, gold has been the foundation of economies, a universal currency that everyone trusts. It's not just a shiny metal, it's a promise, a safeguard against uncertainty, and a store of value that transcends borders and generations. For decades, countries have chosen to store their gold not at home, but deep beneath the bustling streets of Manhattan, in the heavily fortified vaults of the U.S. Federal Reserve. This isn't just a random choice, it's a decision rooted in history, politics, and global trust. Why? After World War II, the world was on edge, economies were fragile, and the U.S. emerged as the most stable and powerful nation. For many, America seemed like the safest place on earth to stash national treasures. For countries like Germany, keeping gold at home felt risky, especially with the Soviet Union's military presence looming just across the border. The threat of invasion or political upheaval was very real. So they trusted America to guard their gold, making New York the world's gold vault, a fortress of global wealth, protected by layers of security and international agreements. This arrangement was built on trust, shared interests, and a common fear of communism spreading across Europe and beyond. For years, nobody questioned it. The gold just sat there, untouched, a silent symbol of stability and international cooperation. But times change. The Cold War is over, the Berlin Wall has fallen, and the world feels less predictable. New uncertainties have replaced old ones. Now some of America's closest allies are rethinking this decades-old setup, questioning whether it still makes sense in today's world. They're asking, should we really keep our life savings in someone else's basement, especially if that friend is starting to act a bit unpredictable on the world stage? The trust that held this system together is starting to fray as old alliances are tested and new tensions emerge. Countries are now asking a simple but awkward question. Can we have our gold back? Is it time to bring it home? And that's where our story begins. A tale of trust, power, and the world's most precious metal. Germany, famous for efficiency and stability, holds the world's second-largest gold reserves, much of it still in New York. Lately, German politicians and citizens are uneasy about leaving their gold overseas. They argue it's about sovereignty and common sense. In uncertain times, you want your assets close. Public pressure led Germany to repatriate nearly 700 tons of gold from New York and Paris between 2013 and 2017. That operation proved it's possible, and that the public wants proof their gold is real and accessible. Now, calls for more repatriation are growing, fueled by global instability. The Bundesbank tries to reassure everyone, but trust is harder to sell when trade wars and tariffs loom. The debate isn't about whether the gold exists, it's about whether it's politically safe. In today's climate, that's a very real concern. Germany's gold dilemma is far from over. Italy, another gold heavyweight, faces similar questions. Populist and nationalist parties have demanded the gold be brought home, arguing it's a matter of financial independence. The message: our gold belongs in Rome, not New York. For a while, this was a political rallying cry, proof of sovereignty and a shield against foreign influence. But when some politicians actually got into power, the issue went strangely quiet. Moving hundreds of tons of gold is complicated, expensive, and politically sensitive. The silence reveals the gap between fiery rhetoric and financial reality. Still, public concern lingers. Is Italy's gold truly safe abroad? The Italian gold debate shows how hard it is to turn bold promises into action. Billions in gold remain in limbo, caught between politics and practicality. The global gold panic can't be separated from recent U.S. politics. The Trump era, with its America First policies and unpredictable diplomacy, rattled America's allies. When the U.S. president threatens tariffs and calls Europe a foe, countries start to worry about their gold's safety. The fear isn't theft, it's that gold could be frozen or used as leverage in a dispute. The U.S. went from trusted safe deposit box to moody landlord. Allies like Germany began demanding audits and physical checks, a clear sign of eroding trust. The foundation of post-war stability, that the U.S. is a neutral guardian, has been shaken. This isn't just about one president. It's about the realization that U.S. policy can swing wildly. Now, countries are looking for ways to reduce their risk, including bringing their gold home. The era of unquestioning trust is over. Originally, storing gold in the US made perfect sense. During the Cold War, the threat of Soviet invasion made New York the safest vault. But the world has changed. The Soviet Union is gone, and the main threat now is political, not military. Today, the risk is a sudden policy shift or economic dispute, not tanks rolling in. The old logic for keeping gold abroad no longer fits. The US is now seen as both partner and competitor, especially in trade. Countries are waking up from a Cold War hangover, questioning arrangements made in the 1950s. The historical context shows the original logic was sound, but it's outdated. Now, nations want their gold where they control it. The move to repatriate gold is a sign of changing times. The world has moved on, and so must the gold. The new question, why not bring it home? Germany and Italy aren't alone in this move. What we're seeing is a global trend that's picking up speed. More and more countries are joining in, each with their own reasons, but all with a common goal: securing their gold. Central banks around the world are rethinking where they store their gold. Many are not just planning to increase their reserves, but also to keep those reserves physically within their own borders rather than trusting foreign vaults. Countries like Poland, Hungary, and Romania have already taken action, bringing tons of gold back from storied vaults in New York and London. They're not waiting for a crisis, they're acting now. It's almost like a slow-motion bank run, but on a national scale. Governments quietly flying billions of dollars worth of gold across oceans, under tight security and secrecy. The logistical headaches are enormous. Moving gold is risky, expensive, and requires military-level security. But for these countries, the peace of mind that comes with having their gold at home is worth every effort. This isn't just about gold. It's part of a much bigger movement called de-dollarization, where countries are trying to reduce their reliance on the US dollar in global finance. Nations want less dependence on the US dollar and the financial systems controlled by the United States, especially as geopolitical tensions rise. Gold is unique because it's neutral. No single government controls it, and it isn't tied to any one currency. That makes it a safe haven in uncertain times. By holding gold at home, countries are building a financial firewall, protection against sanctions, asset freezes, or any kind of outside financial pressure. And the more countries that do this, the more it becomes the new normal. It's a trend that's gaining momentum with every passing year. No one wants to be the last to get their gold out if things go south. The fear of missing out is real, and it's driving even more countries to act quickly. In the end, it really is a global game of musical chairs. But instead of seats, it's all about gold bars, and everyone wants to make sure they're not left standing when the music stops. So, what does all this mean for the future? The world is watching closely as the foundations of global finance begin to shift beneath our feet. The movement of gold signals a shift in the global financial order. Gold, long seen as a safe haven, is now at the center of a quiet but powerful transformation. If allies don't trust the US to hold their gold, it sends a powerful message, not just about economics, but about confidence in American leadership. The era of US financial dominance may be fading, replaced by a more multipolar world, where power is shared among several nations. As countries repatriate gold, they assert financial sovereignty and reduce reliance on the dollar, seeking greater control over their own assets. The repatriation trend is a symptom of deeper changes in global trust, reflecting growing uncertainty about the future of international cooperation. Expect more countries to quietly bring their gold home, each move a signal of shifting priorities and a desire for security. Institutions like the Federal Reserve may have to adapt to a new reality, where their role as global custodians is no longer taken for granted. Transparency and audits will become more important, even in the US, as nations demand proof that their assets are safe and accounted for. Ultimately, this is about trust, security, and control in an unstable world, where every nation wants to protect its future. The journey of gold from New York to Europe is a sign of a changing order, a quiet revolution in how countries manage their wealth. For many countries, there's no place like home for their national treasure. In uncertain times, bringing gold back is more than a financial move. It's a statement of independence and self-reliance.